Fashion is getting more and more democratized than ever before. The moment a Hussein Chalian or a Balenciaga or a Dior show is happening in Paris, today it is available to a person in the small town in a matter of few seconds. Okay,
correct.
Opportunities available to the generation today are far more compared to what was available
at your time.
At the time when I was a student. That is, we are talking about the mid 90s. We are talking about.
Does sustainability comes at a cost? Like, is it expensive? But does sustainability comes at a cost? Like, is it expensive?
Sustainability could be expensive, but if the consumer, like people like you and me and everyone around us, they decide to take it a call, then I believe sustainability could head towards a more circular economy, where circular economy also had a society which is more equilateral. You know why? Because when you are consuming less, today, go and check out your wardrobe, Akshay. I would seriously tell you to go and list out the things in your wardrobe. How many shirts or how many things have been lying unused for ages?
Correct.
Right? Okay. How many are there which is gifted to us, but just because we don't like it, we'll keep them.
Correct.
That kind of a thing. So we have got so many things already which is of no use lying with us. Okay. Imagine somebody paid for it.
Yeah.
Somebody paid for it, that money has been used, but then that is lying without any use or purpose. Okay. So when we bring down our consumption and we decide to have only that much enough as much as we need, if we need further, we will buy a new one if it's only the need is asking for it, and not because we are going through a bad phase, and to get over a psychological problem we go and overshop the things and buying things that we don't need, right?
Yeah.
That's another way of doing it. So till each and every one of us decides that okay, we are consciously going to buy products which are naturally produced. We are consciously going to buy products which involve craftsmen and using traditional crafts techniques. Okay.
Yeah.
We are consciously going to buy products which are causing least harm to the environment. We are going to be mending our clothes instead of throwing it away if they get damaged. Okay, we decide to the fact that okay, we are going to ensure that we are going to buy through those supply chain whereby the last person who's growing it, whether it is a farmer or the weaver, they are going to be benefited in the process. Yes, we are going to be doing it. So that means it's a whole lifestyle change that I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And that is where the sustainability could become expensive. But imagine you have 10 shirts, you have 100 shirts lying in your wardrobe.
But you are just wearing 10.
Each of them costing maybe about, let's say, about 2,000 rupees each. That 100 into 2,000 means how much? 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So now instead of out of that, you decide that okay, out of the 100, I'm using only 25. So when you're looking through your wardrobe, even if you decide that okay, I need only 25 shirts as of now. So each of the shirts, so instead of 2 lakh budget, so now you have only 25. So if your 2 lakh becomes even 1 lakh, still the 25 shirts are expensive. But then you have things that you need, right?
So it becomes inexpensive in a way.
So it actually in the longer thing it becomes inexpensive, and you are that way. When you have limited stuff, you know how more creatively to wear it instead of making it boring, right?
Yeah.
So that is where I think sustainability starts right from starting at our own buying pattern and the way we look at things, and right from the idea that it needs to percolate to the lowest person, the first person in the ecosystem who is doing that fashion business, whereby which they also get their fair trade, their fair deal.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line in India or in certain developing countries, we have a feeling that the labor is somebody who is lesser than us. Okay, the crafts person is something lesser than us. Okay, somewhere down the line we have to understand each person is doing their job and they are getting paid for what their skills are. Simple. And then that is where the sustainability does work. And also to ensure that your products are well taken care of so that they don't wear out faster. You know, that is another aspect of sustainability. How much are you deciding to put your clothes into the machine? How much are you willing to dry them in the right places so that they don't wear out? You know, so that right taking care ensures that your product has a better life, and so that you, and even once you decided to do away with your things, okay, but it's no more serving the purpose. How are you going to repurpose it? Whether you're going to recycle it, upcycle it, you should
reuse it.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the things in which sustainability comes in. whether natural dyes are going to be used in, so that chemicals completely don't, wipe out our environment. Okay, whether we are going to be using traditional crafts of weaving, by which less carbon prints are coming across.
Yeah.
So less of the electricity is used, and more of manpower in a country like India where more manpower is there.
Yeah.
How are you going to ensure that everybody is employed and they're getting a fair deal? So these are the mechanisms wherein by which the sustainability works. And after one life cycle of a product is over, how do you ensure that it has another life cycle? Okay, so that one person's waste becomes the other person's treasure. Thrifting, swapping, so many things. So sustainability in fashion is one of the key words, and I see sustainability becoming a mainstream in a few years down the line in so many formats.
But I've seen people has misconcepted the sustainability with the high-end fashion brand. They believe that if we are gonna buy only 20 rather than, as you have taken the example of having 25 shirts instead of having 100 shirts in my wardrobe, people would misconcept it with the fact that they would have 25 expensive shirts in their wardrobe rather than having the sustainable garment in their wardrobe. People have misconcepted it a lot, but now you have made it clear what the sustainability exactly means.
It is always not about that expensive products are better products, okay? If a certain thing has to be expensive, there have to be parameters based around which it has to be expensive, right? So I just tell people that they should become more educated. They should become more aware, because fashion is one of the, jaise kehte hain, roti kapda makan, right? So kapda is one of the bare essential needs, okay? So when that is one of the bare essentials, you should be aware where your shirt is coming from, or where your inners are coming from, where does your jacket come from,
where the whole money is going,
where is your money going, and where does it actually end up contributing to the society as a larger whole, okay? And how is it affecting my environment? So I think sustainability needs to be taught at a basic level in school. Sustainability needs to be a lifestyle which needs to be taught by parents as a whole. And sustainability needs to be a stream of lifestyle which is a very strong, it forms the strong foundations of a great society. So that is where so people should under no way should be remained in an illusion that expensive things are better, okay? It is always about being more aware and ensuring that your money is going to the right places and to buy the right product. Cheap is necessarily not inexpensive. Inexpensive is not necessarily bad quality. Just that you have to be wise enough to know that. That is where the difference is. And you have to ensure that there's a good track record of that particular supply chain, which is ensuring the quality for the people for generations, okay? There is a legacy that comes along with the brand, which is known to be ethical towards that product line, okay? There should be a kind of a constant R&D happening on that company's level to ensure that with the changing environment and the changing needs of the people, that they are giving right product at the right cost and to the right customer, okay? So that the customer gets the best. And at the same time, the prices and the elements are reasonably kept under control. That is very important.
Now you have made it clear to the society, to the people, to the audience that what is sustainability, what is inexpensive, they're totally different.
Absolutely. Quality is something, everybody has to ensure that the product they are using, once they are buying it, they are constantly keeping a track of what they are using, and how does it serve them. And constantly keep an aware into the mainstream media, knowing aware that, okay, this is where the world is moving towards. So it's my company from where I'm buying. Are they taking care of it? Okay. So you need to question. You need to go to the RTI. You need to, as a balanced and an aware consumer, be aware of the source where it is coming from, and you accordingly take value systems to the product that you're using. You will never use a product where you realize that the money that you're going to give is going to be used for the anti-national activities.
Yeah.
You will never buy a product from a person who probably,
not
earns the
paying
money
you.
out of it
Yeah.
and is known to be conducting certain dubious activities in the society.
Yeah.
So that is where we feel that our money, what we are buying in, should go to the right store. So this also means that when you are doing the product study, you are also ensuring that the money, there's good R&D the company is known for. There's a good fair trade and fair price ethics that they maintain, so that the people in the line is taken care of,
Yeah.
And also there's a larger betterment of the society that's happening in the process.
Yeah.
Those are certain things which will ensure that as a customer, you are aware customer, and as a product line, you are getting quality product.
Yeah. So the next thing is, what do you think, like the most fashion aspirants who are your students right now, who might be your students in the previous years, they're gonna start their own brand or working with the export houses, working with some domestic labels, working with some international labels, working under some designers. But as far as I know, they don't have the really technical knowledge about the fabrics. While choosing the fabrics, they don't know what is, like, what is the malmal, what is the cambric, what is the difference between. How should they teach themselves about the technicality of the fabrics, textiles, so they are not coming from the textile engineering background? I don't expect them to know till an extent that I expect them to be a textile engineer.
I understand.
But as far as I know, I've seen merchandiser, but they don't know about which fabrics to be used. They just simply send it to the local market, and then the trader who is sitting in the local market, they just look at the fabric and they'll provide. But he doesn't know the technicality of the fabric as well.
Right.
So how can they, train themselves or teach themselves in a field of textiles? What do you think?
You mean a student of fashion?
A student of fashion.
Okay.
Is it really important?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just as much as in cooking, every masala or every ingredient is important.
Yeah.
In the line of fashion, you should understand that textile is your raw product.
Yeah.
Your fashion is going to be completely based on the material that you're going to use.
Yeah.
So if instead of a very drapey gown that I plan to make, if I decide to use the material something like a denim or a canvas, imagine the drape will be completely different from what I had imagined it to be in a more chiffon or a georgette drape which is going to come through. So in which case, as a student of fashion, the understanding, the knowledge, the technicalities, the tensile quality of the fabric, the drapability of the fabric, all these things are absolutely important. Very important, in fact. Okay. So as a student of fashion, they must make themselves completely aware of what they are using as a textile. So the knowledge of textile, if they don't take it seriously, believe me, as a fashion designer, they're going to be very, very shallow.
Yeah.
Very shallow designers. Okay. We have courses like textile design courses where intense study on textile is done, kind of a thing. Okay. But even in courses like fashion designing, the component of the textiles is introduced in every stage. First at a basic level, then at an advanced level, and then at a more specific level. So constantly the academics involves their learning and understanding of the textile at every stage. But it is also up to the student. It's just not about classroom learning. In classroom learning, they'll be taught about weaves, knits, different kinds of weaves, what can be done, different kinds of fibers, fabrics, yarns, basics, okay? They could be further be taken into different kinds of surfaces like printing, embroidery, and 3D printing, whatever is the possibilities, okay? But beyond that, how do they identify the difference between a chiffon, a viscose chiffon and a silk chiffon?
Yeah.
Where even when you look at it normally, you yourself can hardly make a difference. In fact, today some of the poly chiffon that is being made, they look more silk chiffon than the real silk chiffon, right? Yeah. So how do they identify this? Okay? Yeah. Do they have instant test? Is there any way they can instantly tear up and see the fibers and understand the difference? So that needs to be there, that inquisitiveness to understand the textiles, feel it, know what is happening. When you are going into the market, not only academically, you should be aware of the technical names. When you are going into the market, you should be also aware of the commercial names, because you go and tell them something like a cotton voile. You just can't say cotton voile in the market. Cotton voile comes in 100 different kinds of names.
Yeah,
like Banwe, 104, 80, 72, 80. Those are the WAP and the web count, of course. But still, in the market, they are called by a particular name.
Yeah.
And they should be aware of it. And how do you become aware of it? You have to go down into the field. You have to go down to the market. You have to identify 10 different markets and 10 different fabrics to understand what is the same fabric called by different names. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how do I identify the weight, or how can I find a substitute to it? Okay. So those are the activities which students need to do, because every course may not have a compulsive approach towards going at a more frequent pace towards sourcing, but it is up to the student to ensure that I need to find more market. I need to find out what is the rate available in this place and that place. I need to find whether it's a sampling rate they told me or it's a production rate they told me. I need to be aware that is there a fire test I can do to see what can be done, or is there something I can pull out one thread and then from breaking can I identify a fabric. Okay, it's just not about classroom learning, but it's also about actually going into the industry, going into the market, talking to people about it, and be serious about your approach towards textiles. Don't take textiles lightly.
Yeah.
Because textiles form the base wherein by which you begin your
fashion.
So that is where I believe a great understanding of textiles is a must for every fashion designer, because look at YSL, look at Dior, look at Karl Lagerfeld. Every designer had an inherent respect and the kind of importance they associated for the textiles and the fabrics, which made them sure that they were able to correctly design what they had launched across in their runways. Okay, so as a designer, you should be more aware. You should start going into the field. You should be connected to the people in the industry who are working in the field of textiles. You should get a clear-cut, correct names and nomenclature should be right. Your ability to constantly feel and understand the fabrics with their weight, with their texture, and with their feel, exactly everything, and then be able to identify and then choose the right fabric for the right design.
Yeah. So what do you think, like let's say a 20-year-old entrepreneur, young entrepreneur comes to you and he would want to set up his own business, own brand. What would be the right piece of advice would you give to him?
Okay. So ideally, Akshay, I just feel like 20 years for me is too young a stage in their life to begin something as an entrepreneur. Okay, so every student who comes to me in Pearl Academy, or for that matter any institute, I personally believe that they should first of all get a sound education, of their respective field that they want to get. In this case, we are talking about is fashion. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, a good education goes a long way in them for understanding the nature of the business that they are planning to get into, and also connect with a lot of similar minds, which overall at that stage of your learning enhances you at a foundational level. Okay, with a carefully designed course, which ensures that by the end of doing the course, ensures all your skill sets are focused towards achieving the goal that you plan to take it ahead with. Okay, so first of all, a great formal education is very important, and I also generally advise for somebody who is doing a bachelor's, I strongly advise taking up a master's course also, because learning phase, of course, a person keeps on learning all your life. Okay, but a formal learning stage is better at a younger age of your life. Okay, in which case I would strongly advise them that they should take up a master's education once they have done with the bachelor's education, wherein by which their specific area of their interest, because once you've done your bachelor's, you are more clear about what you want to do, take ahead further. Okay, so in master's you go to that targeted field, the chosen field in that larger field that you've chosen in fashion. So you go to maybe an area like maybe fashion merchandising, or maybe something like fashion styling. Okay, or maybe even textiles. Okay, or even anything like a luxury designing. Fashion. Okay, whatever it is that you want to be more specific about, in masters you do that. And in most of the cases, again, I would prefer the master's course to be done in a country which is known for that specific field. And currently the rate at which things are going, as of now, the master's education could be a great idea if it can be done in a European or an American country. Okay, why so?
In field of fashion.
In the field of fashion. Why? Because at this stage of evolution where we are standing, okay, I very clearly they are right now far more advanced in terms of their research and development, technical capabilities, and the kind of exposure a student of fashion is required to have. Okay, and that is something which they will get once they do the masters out there. So in doing the master, not only do your specific skill sets gets more honed, but you are also aligning yourself because now you are a more mature person. You are able to connect your learning with the industry and the network.
You get the global exposure as well.
Exposure, exactly. So that is something I strongly recommend. Now, apart from this, once you have done your education, I strongly feel that first you should be very clear about the fact that don't be in a rush. Choose the line. So whether you want to be a professional or an entrepreneur, okay? Only if you have got entrepreneurial instincts, you should get into it.
Yeah.
Because becoming an entrepreneur is just about not making money or the ego of having my own brand or label, but it is a larger responsibility throughout your life that you are going to be taking up, wherein by which, first of all, you're committed to the vision that you are having, okay? And how does that vision align to achieving your objectives? And also a larger society also needs to be taken into consideration. Remember, we are not living in an independent world. We are living in an interdependent world, wherein by which anything in fashion you have to take people along with you. The people doesn't just mean the people who are working for you, but also the supply chain system that is connected to you, but also the consumer who is trusting onto you and your brand values. So it is a larger responsibility of a society as a whole when you are becoming an entrepreneur. Okay?
Yeah.
So in which case they should be aware of the responsibility. And they should understand one thing, that creativity is very important, because without creativity there is no growth. Simple.
Correct.
Okay? First there was God, and then there was design and creativity and design, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, I believe that there is the whole creative process is important for attaining that vision that you have put across for yourself, and the designing, the creativity should be aligned to your commercial sensibility. Remember, a creativity will be doing no good if it's not going to be understanding the needs and wants of the market consumer that you're going to cater for. Okay, so a greatly designed outfit which is not going to align itself to the needs of the market, then it's of no use, virtually zero outcome, zero output. Maybe it could be used in the future, way ahead, way later, but at this stage it's of no use. So you have to align yourself to the market. So a great creative fuel along with a sound market sensibility is a great way wherein by which I think your vision can be taken ahead to have a great fashion brand. Okay, remember your brand while choosing or deciding to put a brand for yourself. Okay, you should ensure first of all that your basic aesthetics are in its place. You are not a confused person. You should be very clear about which segment of the market that you're going to be aiming for. Most of the time it looks quite fancy to be catering to the celebrities and to the higher end of the market.
Yeah.
But that is an extremely limited market, and there are already more than enough people who are going to cater to it. I'm not stopping you from going there, but all I'm trying to say, just ask sincerely. Do you think you are more capable of designing something for the middle class because you got an ability to find solutions, or you have certain popularist ideas which can be grasped by the market? Okay, so would you like to design for the middle class, or would you like to design for the mass market also?
Yeah.
Because today in a growing economy like India, catering to the mass market is also going to be one of the biggest opportunities. You understand that? Okay.
Yeah.
So today a person who is in the lower middle class is no more the lower middle class who was there in the 1980s or 90s.
Correct.
Okay, so catering to them, it's a huge, the fashion pyramid when we draw it, they form a large base.
Yeah.
So does a lighter pocket also mean heavier pocket? Lighter packet, that means whatever, even if there's a less profit, you probably have such a huge market that you could end up with a great profit and a great business too. And probably you align your skills and your sensibilities to the market because that comes naturally to you. Or you want to cater to the middle class naturally. So it has to be totally based on your aesthetics and your skill sets, wherein by which you're comfortable doing this, rather than trying to run after what everybody else is doing after. Then you might end up being a very poor designer who didn't really make it because you were naturally not aligned to it. Okay, so that is something I think one should be very clear about. First of all, you have a vision, you have a responsibility, and you have a larger purpose than what you are thinking currently as an entrepreneur that you are. Second thing is, your skill set should not be ignored, and your aesthetics should not be ignored. There should be a clarity of the market that you're going to cater for, and there should be an idea about what is the category that you're going to enter. Just because everybody does those grand bridal wear doesn't mean that if you got a sensibility of doing sporty garment, then please don't rush after a grand bridal wear just because you think there's a lot of glamour and fashion show. But if this is what you're doing, then do this best. You will become a star in that. So why not? Okay. So start being more sincere, more committed, and more professional. Start identifying your creativity and your true sensibilities and stay committed to it. I'm telling you, success is all yours during the process. Because it's also about success by then, right? Nobody wants to be a failed creative designer, but you have to be a very smart designer who understands the sensibilities and the market also.
Correct. Where do you see Indian textile market in next, or apparel market next 5 to 10 years? Where is it heading towards?
Akshay, right now, the way things are going, I am not very, very too excited. Current stage I'm talking about. But I also see certain developments happening in the country which is far too exciting for me too. Okay? Like recently I visited an interior place near Pondicherry in Tamil Nadu, okay? I could see the craftsmen were directly interacting with the customers. Okay, and the customers were more than happy to pay their dues to the artisans. You know why? Because they say that the artisan needs to be encouraged. So there is an awareness in the Indian market. Now that is a promising situation for the future, right? Okay, our craftsmen are no more the ill-educated, unconnected people. Okay,
the next generation have had that set of skill of dealing with the people, and maybe their last generation has that skill set of craftsmanship.
Yes, but not only that. What I'm also seeing is the development of huge infrastructure. Okay, development of huge infrastructure and technology reaching there at every corner of the country, by which that is empowering the craftsmen to supply it to the chain, which is connected to the larger areas where it could be sent across. I also see the government doing a lot for the craftsmen. Recently on a visit to Punjab, when I went there, I saw the craftsmen were fully aware of all the major trades and exhibitions happening in the country. And who are from the villages. They are not the people from the city. People from the villages were aware that Delhi Haat jana hai, Surajkund Mela is there, Bengaluru mein kuch ho raha hai, Gujarat mein kuch ho raha hai. And they are now a regular going to those places, which was not a facility which I was seeing earlier. Okay, so and that also earlier it used to be limited to Delhi mein jana hai ya Mumbai jana, that kind of thing. Now they are even talking about a person in Punjab who was doing Fulkari was talking to me about some Odisha mein ek jagah hai, wahan pe bhi mera sale hota hai, kind of thing. Now you can imagine that is a kind of understanding. So at a crafts level, I see a very exciting phase. Though people quite often I've seen people predict a lot of doomsday kind of a situation, but I'm also seeing a situation where craftsmen are getting more empowered and they are having a larger arena. So today, when I recently went to Kerala, somebody was telling me that they wanted that pipli ka mat from Odisha. So you see a normal average middle class person is aware that they need pipli work from Odisha, which was not the fact when I was in my childhood. Okay, so that way I see a very interesting development. The other way is that I see an Indian and more aware Indian, educated, aware customer is also willing to take up things like sustainability. You go to an event like Dastkar, okay, you see a lot of customers coming in who are willing to understand the craftsmen and buy the things from them directly, even if the price is higher. So a printed cotton could come across maybe at maybe an average price of 100 rupees or 150 rupees in Delhi. They are willing to pay 350 rupees from a person who is doing vegetable dye, not 500. They are saying that I am okay with it because I don't mind paying that person money because it's going to the craft people and it's going to empower that stream of supply chain of the business. So I see that happening. At a larger mass market scale, well, there was this tariff war and all this thing happening. But at the same time, I hope you are aware that there are these huge textile parks which are coming up. 4 to 5 textile parks all over India. That means they are integrated units where right from the yarn stage till the finished goods are going to be straight away heading towards their destination,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Now imagine with that kind of a setups coming across the country, the business of garment is going to be a completely a new story to be told about.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is also happening. So for me, if I'm looking at it, if you are able to keep a track of the things, fashion, the way things are going in India, I think in the next another 5 to 10 years, we're heading towards a great future.
Great future.
I think a designer should be aware of what's happening. A lot of our designers are making it to the international ramps. Okay. In fact, I think one of our Pearls alumni, Vaishali Sharangule, she's having her own flagship store in Paris, the first woman designer to have her own flagship store in Paris. So you can imagine that that is the level to which designers are going.
Yeah.
It is just a matter of time. And it's a very strange coincidence that how economy is related to fashion, right? Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you think that instead of just being the fashion designer, what all are the options that are available for the fashion aspirants rather than getting into merchandising or just designing? What all are the things they can get into if they wanna get into the fashion industry?
Okay. Ideally, Akshay, I feel that a student who is pursuing a course of fashion designing, they should continue with this thing because fashion today has become a very a broad field with things getting more specific. Like एक ज़माना था where they used to say that कि बेटा engineer है, okay. But now it's no more about engineer क्या है, किस चीज़ का engineer है ना?
Yeah.
Mechanical engineer, civil engineer, electronic engineer या
Electrical,
आपका
IT,
हाँ, so many,
computer
right?
science, a lot of
Just
things.
as much as a doctor का same thing, whether he's a surgeon, अगर surgeon है तो which चीज़ का surgeon, and all this blah. So now with comes to fashion, today fashion has become such a vast field that if you're a designer, you please opt to be a designer. But then certain students when they join the field of designing and during the travel, the course, they suddenly realize that they are more inclined towards some field like maybe merchandising, okay? So like you told already, apart from merchandising, right?
Yeah.
So we could be looking forward to a world where the students have diversified into so many fields, starting from taking up luxury brand management. It doesn't need to be just fashion alone.
Yeah.
Luxury in various other product
Retail
line
management,
also.
maybe
Yes.
retail
Yeah.
fashion, high-end brand
So
management.
it can be accessories, fashion accessories. It could be product line of luxury product line. It could be interiors of luxury.
Could be footwear.
Absolutely. So that's another very strong line inclination which students have shown across. Fashion journalism, though fashion journalism is a different course in itself. A
Okay.
student of fashion can also opt for fashion media and journalism, wherein by which the whole area of social media, the conventional print media, the visual media, the video media, the OTT platforms, and even cinema, they all have opened up to the fashion designers, okay? So that is also the reason why I say that if you have taken up a bachelor's in fashion designing, you could opt for the specific field that you like in the
Yeah.
master's program. Styling is another major aspect of fashion designing because the school of fashion, especially in larger academic institutions like Pearl, they involve various specific subjects like styling, fashion designing, knitwear designing, textile designing, fashion journalism, fashion communication. They all
Buying and merchandising.
buying and merchandising, production, they all have those things, okay? So in which case, if you really feel like, okay, as a designer, I'm interested more in the production aspect of fashion, you could take up something like a garment manufacturing technology or some course which could be directing you towards understanding the technical and the commercial side of fashion, right? And then you have a field like fashion communication, wherein by which you prepare the content of the fashion, you start looking at the styling bit of it, the visualization bit of it, you're able to put together a whole story or put together a whole ad or put together a whole idea, in a particular format, whichever is required for the fashion industry or the client. You can put it very effectively out there. So fashion communication is another very important field which the student could look forward to, okay? Then, of course, going into the hardcore side of fashion, that is the business of fashion.
Yeah.
Then they could take up, there are so many courses available abroad which is actually more or geared towards the fashion being converted into what kind of business you would like to take. A retail kind of a thing, a wholesale kind of a thing, a mass market kind of a thing, whichever way you could opt for those courses too. Okay, a student of fashion can also look forward to taking up even textiles for their masters, because we have seen that while some of the students, while during their course, they feel that they are strongly inclined towards textile development, and there's the ability of the textile to react under circumstances or create certain things out of textiles in so many different ways than thought of before, or the research and development done in the field of textiles in terms of both the traditional craft being revived and also the new technology being introduced. That's an exciting phase of textile development happening. So that is a field they could get, like institutions like NID and other spaces they organize. They do have space for masters in textiles. So that is something that they can definitely look forward to. So you see the more you're looking out, the more options are opening up for somebody who's done fashion designing. Let me tell you, we've even had people who's gone into the field of advertising and even media completely from the field of fashion designing. Now, that is something, even though I don't advise, but they were lucky enough to get into that and they moved on to it. But I feel that it's the 4 years that you invested in the education. So before taking up the course, I strongly recommend every parents saying that be sure that your child is very strongly inclined and not getting into the fashion scene just because they see the whole glamour and the whole, that imagery that comes along with. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind the scene in order for that to appear like that. But that is where I think that correct choice of career should be made in the beginning itself, so that you can choose that as a pathway and you don't have to do much of a deviation, and you're able to proceed with what is it that you had looked forward to in life. So that way, if you're asking me, I think I lead a very wholesome and a fulfilling life in terms of my career. You could make me work even 18 hours a day, I think I still won't get tired. You know why? Because I'm doing what I like to do. At that stage, probably money or any other kind of a recognition which is unnecessary, I don't care for, because I think I love the creative process which I'm involved in. I like the people around me who are involved in a similar creative, be it my students, my colleagues, or my organization. Okay, and also the larger field of fashion, which is constantly bringing something new every day. Which is so exciting. That is something which I feel that even in the midst of a crisis, people will find a very interesting solution in fashion.
Correct.
That is what keeps me excited. So it finds something interesting, whether it is a very great happy times or whether it is a crisis times. And the challenges that it throws on to us to find solutions to help the society, to increase the value of our life, in terms of our aesthetics, because most of the fashion designers have an amazing sense of great aesthetics. Most of the fashion designers are never living in today. They are present. Their physical part is living today, but mentally and psychology, they are constantly living in the future. So they are constantly looking. Okay, right now is the summertime. I am developing for next year's summer. I'm observing the society around me. I'm observing the culture around me. I'm observing the changing tastes of the people. I follow forecast. So I know that when I'm designing for maybe spring summer 2027 or spring summer 2028, I have these things in my mind, and I exactly know what my people are going to wear. And what is it that I've got more to offer, more exciting for people to look forward to, apart from taking care of their needs and wants. What is it that I spark their desires with in terms of my aesthetics, my beauty, my everything that makes life much more worth living for. I think fashion designers that way contribute a lot to some of, not only to cater to the needs and the basics of society, but also representing the core of the society as a whole in terms of where does it need to aspire towards. I think that's a great field to explore and to live in.
So thank you so much for coming. The information you have given to us, it's about sustainability, the fashion industry, the textile industry, the knowledge about fashion industry, how important it is, the difference between the fashion industry, the difference between the fashion and textile industry, the difference between the myth about sustainability with respect to the expensive thing or the high-end material, high-end brand. The information whichever you have given to us is very informative, and I hope that people who are watching our podcast would be informative for them as well. Thank you so much for coming to our channel and giving the people information about whatever you have seen, whatever you have seen so far with your experience.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you for making me travel through my journey. And being able to re-explore my own experiences and share it with the people out here. It's a great opportunity for me not only to share it but also to help people understand the importance of fashion in their life, the way the academics works in terms of grooming the fashion designers of the future, and removing a lot of misconception, especially a strong one, which says that fashion designing is such a fancy field, the way it appears just because there's glamour.
It's more technical than
There's far more than technical also, Akshay. It really caters to the basic core essence need of the society. Okay, it helps you understand clothing. It helps you protect your body. It
adds confidence.
It caters to the identity of a person, and it also takes care of the dreams and the aspirations that you hold for the future. Okay, so that way it takes care of the past, future, present, and future in a single stroke. Okay, so that realization comes when we discuss these kind of topics. Okay, thank you for actually opening up those channels also, and also for the fact that the contribution that you want to make towards realizing this field in a better way, and we'll be looking forward to meeting up with you and discuss more important topics in the future too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.